Hi, everyone. This is Michael Neri with Elevation Real Estate. I'm joined here with my colleague Haley Kirstein and our special guest of honor, Andre Podoraru from JVM Lending out in the East Bay. We are here because we have noticed that for first-time home buyers, sometimes think that it's a little bit too difficult to break into the market, specifically in the Bay Area, the East Bay, North Bay, South Bay, and specifically, in San Francisco as well. We wanted to sort of debunk some of those myths, but also hopefully pass on some of information that we've seen in the current market to you who are watching this video today, um, and make it make home buying seem more accessible to everyone. And so I've asked Andre to join us today. He's one of the lenders that we work with the most here at Elevation Real Estate. We trust him very dearly with our clients because no matter how you slice it in the Bay Area, whatever you're purchasing, it is a big purchase. It's a lot of money, and we want to make sure you're in good hands. And so I'm going to throw it over to Andre, and he's going to take it away with getting, hopefully imparting some information to everyone on what it takes to buy a home in the Bay Area.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, let me start sharing my screen here. Let me know if you can see that. Um, so yeah, so as Michael was saying earlier, there are buying a home in the Bay Area is a huge first step. It's not cheap, and we know that there's a lot of questions that come up. It can be a little nerve-wracking when you're taking that on. So we put together a little presentation here that walks through the different steps, different strategies we have to make that affordable. Some of the key words and things that you're going to need to know as a first-time buyer, and good. Hopefully it'll prompt some good questions for you to ask your professionals to make sure you're educated and informed. So. First things first, just a little bit about JVM Lending. We are local here in Walnut Creek. Been in business for close to 20 years now, specifically focusing mostly on the Bay Area. We have a few other states and areas we've expanded to, but the Bay Area is our backyard and of course our home. We are open 7 days a week. That's probably one of the things that our clients love most about us. We know that a lot of the times, you're probably working during the week. So when you have time to look at homes and get started is usually Saturday and Sunday. And if you need anything, we have people that are on call. They can answer questions, get you started, answer, what rates might look like, payments and all that stuff. We also have 1,300 five-star reviews online. So if you look us up on Yelp, Google, Zillow, we have all these reviews that we've aggregated over the years from our clients. So you don't have to just take our word for it. We have a model here that's very unique and very, very helpful to those clients that we worked with in the past. And the last thing is that we move really quickly. So we answer questions in 60 minutes, all of your inquiries, calls, emails, text messages, because we know not only does, real estate it moves quickly in this area. So you want to be ready and you want to make sure you're getting answers when you need them. So we hope you'd give us a try when you're ready to take that next step. Okay. So now let's answer the big question on everyone's mind. Is now a good time to buy? Or rather framing that from my perspective, why do I think now is a great time to buy? So there's a few things that contribute to that. Right now, we're seeing inventory levels that are back to normal. I'm not going to say they're high per se, that they're much higher than they were during COVID, that's for sure. But more the that was more atypical where they were extremely low. So I've kind of come back to a place where they're more in line with the average that it's been for about the last 10 years or so. We're also seeing rates trending downwards. So rates peaked at the highest in about October of 2023, and since then they've kind of been riding this roller coaster down. And that's really important for you as a first-time buyer because rates are really what drives affordability in your payments. You could afford way more house when rates are low, and then vice versa when rates are high. It makes those payments or makes those payments a lot higher, and you can afford a little bit less. So now that they're trending downwards, we're seeing affordability open back up. We're back in the high fives and low sixes for most buyers. So just to give you that perspective, the days of the sevens and even eights that we've had some clients get, those days are fortunately behind us, and so it seems, and looks like brighter horizons ahead in terms of rates continuing their downward trend. We're also seeing more concessions. So seller concessions are when the sellers are willing to work with you as a buyer to give you more benefits, to give you discounts, to pay for things. And one way that they concede is by reducing prices. So we've been seeing some of that pop up here and there. That's not everywhere throughout the Bay Area. There's still some really desirable neighborhoods and pockets that are going to retain their value pretty much no matter what. But in a lot of areas, there are these opportunities to work with sellers and get a better price or get them to pay for some things. Just a quick story: when I was purchasing my home, I bought at the perfect time in during COVID when things were crazy, and I had to beat out 10 other offers. And I remember that we had a inspection come back, the home inspection come back with tons of things wrong with the house. You know, it needed all sorts of repairs and renovations. So we asked the seller for a very small percentage of that in the concession. And the only response we got was, you can just cancel right now, send us the cancellation. We have 3 other buyers waiting. It's not a good feeling. So that is not the environment we're in right now, fortunately. So we're seeing that sellers are willing to be a little bit more reasonable with some of those requests. And then the last reason why I think now is a great time to buy is that in the long run, inflation is going to keep pushing prices higher and higher. Again, nothing moves in a straight line, especially not in the markets, but over time, we see this trend play out. And so I picked an example here. Krispy Kreme donuts were $9 a dozen in 2015. Now they're $20 a dozen 10 years later. And so, purchasing real estate and hard assets like real estate are one of those inflation hedges, or one of those things that rises with value as inflation goes higher. So it's a nice way to protect some of your assets and wealth over time. And the trend certainly is that inflation isn't slowing down anytime soon. Okay, so now let's dive into some of the basics of what it takes to buy a home. So I really boiled this down to the simplest level, and there's a lot more we can go here, but the 3 basic things are having a consistent source of income and cash flow coming in every month. So, for most people, that's a job. That could be a job from an employer or self-employment. It can be things like retirement income, disability income. There's other streams, child support, alimony, other streams of income that might be not everyone receives, but there are we kind of need that steady stream of income to support the housing payments we're approving you for. A minimum credit score of 580. So that's really the cutoff for most types of financing. And if you're just around that, like you have a 560 or a 570, we have a lot of strategies to help improve that, and I'll talk more about that later. And then a minimum savings of around 1% to 3% of the purchase price. You'll see a lot of things, and certainly if you're searching online, there's a lot of information out there that you can do 0% down to purchase a home. It doesn't take any money to do that. There are a lot of programs that will help you do a 0% down payment. So programs that will actually cover your down payment or lend you that down payment. But that doesn't take care of an item called closing costs. And so that's the things that go to the third parties, to property taxes, to all these other entities that are involved. And so that's why we say, even if we're using one of those programs, it's still a good idea to have 1% to 3% saved up. And then, of course, incidentals that come up after purchasing, right? A repair, or just having a little bit of a safety net. It's really a good idea to have a little bit saved and tucked away. Speaking of affordability and those monthly payments, I wanted to show a snapshot of what an average income might afford for a home. So they might be closer than you think. If you're running your own calculations, or you want to see what your scenario looks like, I'd encourage you to go to our website, jvmlending.com. You can pull up our affordability calculator under tools and plug in your own numbers. But I'm using an annual gross income of about $135,000, which is actually a little bit less than the median income for a household in the Bay Area. So I wanted to be a little bit on the conservative side. I'm assuming just a 5% down payment, so you don't need a ton saved up to purchase. And interest rates, I even have a little bit on the high end at 6.25. Like I mentioned, they're actually now kind of pushing lower to just under 6. So with that picture, a family making about $135,000 a year could likely qualify for about a $750,000 purchase price. That's a lot of home in a lot of the Bay Area. So if you've been looking and feeling a little discouraged, I would encourage you to actually know your numbers a little bit more. That can be through a conversation with my team, or doing it yourself online, and really seeing like kind of roughly where your budget might land. And I think you might be kind of happy with what you find out and what you can see. And if you're concerned about affordability, I want to focus in on a few tools that first-time homebuyers can leverage to help afford a little bit more home, or just to make this first purchase feel a little bit more affordable. So I'll go into details on all these, but we're going to talk about down payment assistance, temporary rate buy downs, some of the tax benefits you get, and then ways to improve your credit score to get even more. So the first down payment assistance program I want to talk about is Cal HFA. It's also known as Cal HAFA. And so it is my favorite down payment assistance program here in California. Cal HFA stands for California Housing Finance Authority. They're a nonprofit organization that has been around for a really long time. So they have a great track record. They're not going away anytime soon. So you don't have that, rug pull of getting really excited and then waking up that, oh my gosh, this program's not available anymore, like we see happen from time to time with some of these assistance programs. So what I love about the Cal HFA is that the reason it's been around for so long is that it's not free money, but it's very, very close to it. So it's not going to be something that's completely forgivable. You do eventually have to pay them back, but I think they do it in a really affordable and easy way. So from Cal HFA, you're allowed to borrow the down payment for your home, and you borrow that down payment at a 1% simple interest rate. So if you think about that, credit cards are at 20+%, 20 to 30% interest. Car loans are 6, 7, 8%. This is a down payment loan that's 1%. And a simple interest rate means that it's not going to grow on itself. It's not a compounding interest rate. The other beautiful thing is that there's no monthly payments you're making on that loan. For 30 years, you can keep that loan in place. And for 30 years, it just sits there. You don't have to touch it. Cal HFA will also let you take out a third loan. So you get your first loan for the bulk of your purchase. You get that second loan at a 1% interest rate for the down payment. You could take out a third loan at a 0% interest rate. So, pretty darn close to free money there. And so it's just one of the programs I love for those reasons. It's super affordable, and the no monthly payments do make it even that much more approachable. The other really cool hack with Cal HFA is that your credit score doesn't impact the interest rate. You can type in Cal HFA rates into Google tonight, and you can see their live interest rates published every single day. I believe they're at a 6% or maybe a 6.125 today. And that doesn't matter whether you have a 600 credit score or an 800 credit score. It's a one size fits all solution. So it's super affordable. And especially, if you're still getting things, figured out on the credit side of things, you're not penalized for that. Okay, so just as an example, on an $800,000 home, you can borrow $40,000. So that's taking out a 3% loan for that down payment and a 2% loan for your closing costs. So add that together, I'm getting to $40,000. And you have no payments that you're making on that $40,000 in 30 years. Now,
That's crazy. I just want to say that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for chiming in. The other cool thing is that most people don't keep their loans forever, keep their houses forever, rather. I know loans are written for 30 years, but most people sell in like 7 to 10 years. And your starter home or your starter condo isn't where you're necessarily going to raise your family, and you might want to upgrade. So if you sell that property in 10 years, the total check you're going to write back for Cal HFA is $42,400. So that means over that 10-year period, you've only accrued $2,400 in interest on the $40,000 borrowed. That is nuts. So just something to think about and keep in mind. It is, again, one of my favorite programs. Okay, the second program, this one is also really good, but it's a little bit more focused. I think they have different variations. So their best offering is really targeted towards what they call select personnel or select employees. So people in the medical industry, teachers, firefighters, emergency personnel, public safety, police officers, kind of people in those professions that give back. That's really where they shine in terms of the programs they offer. This company or this program is called GSFA, or Golden State Finance Authority. It's another California program. They've got a great track record. And what's really cool about their products, so specifically if you're in one of those fields, you can borrow up to 5% of the purchase price. You might be seeing a theme here. Borrow 5% of the home price on a loan, but you only pay back part of what you borrow. So you are getting a gift of 2% of what you got. So you got 5, you only pay back 3. The catch, if you will, or the trade-off for this program versus the Cal HFA is this one does have monthly payments. The amount you borrowed is broken up on a 15-year loan, and you're paying that every single month. So in my example here, just to clarify, you can borrow the 5%. The first 3% is paid back on that 15-year loan. The the additional 2% you're getting is not paid back at all. That's a true gift. So kind of breaking that same example, just like I did with the Cal HFA, if you have an $800,000 home and you borrow $40,000 and you sell in 10 years, you've only paid back $24,000 worth of it, right? Because you're only paying back that first 3%. So a really, really powerful program for people in those professions. So I'd encourage you to take a look. This also has some of those same features that I was mentioning with the Cal HFA program. Your credit score does not hurt your interest rate. You're not going to be penalized if you have a score that isn't, quote, perfect. They have a really wide box to help people qualify. Both of these programs, their goal is to help as many people afford their first home as possible. And so they want to say yes. And they have a lot of ways to do that. Okay, and there's even more down payment assistance out there. I think there's 5,000 programs or things like that, and different cities and counties all have other things that can be added in here as well. These are just two very broad programs that we work with very often, and I've seen clients take advantage of and be really, really happy with. So I just zoomed in on these two. Okay, moving on from down payment assistance, there's another really cool program that's out and about called temporary rate buydowns. And we've been seeing these come up a lot right now. Essentially what this is, it's a temporary way to reduce your interest rate for the first 2 years of your loan. But the really cool thing about this is that you're not getting an adjustable rate mortgage. I know, especially if you've been doing your research, you might have heard of adjustable rate mortgages come up, and they got a really bad reputation around 2008 with the financial crisis. So I want to make it very clear, this is not an adjustable rate mortgage. It's completely separate. In fact, it actually works kind of the inverse of an adjustable rate mortgage, which is why I love it even more. So this product is a fixed rate loan, meaning from years 3 through 30, your rate is set in stone. You're going to know exactly what it will be from the day you get your home, and it can never increase above that amount. The only thing that does change is that in those first 2 years, you're essentially going a little bit lower than that fixed rate. So you're getting a little bit of that benefit for year 1 and year 2 to help you adjust to the payments and the cost of owning a property. So I'm using an example here of a $700,000 loan with a 2-year temporary rate buy down. So in year 1, the rate would go from a 6.5, which is that fixed rate permanently. It goes down to a 4.5 interest rate. So you're making your payments as if your loan was a 4.5% rate, saving you about $700 per month. Year 2, it goes from a 4.5 to a 5.5, and you're saving about $360 a month. And then year 3 through 30, you're back to that fixed rate that can never ever increase. And again, you're not going to see it balloon up and you're waking up with a 10% interest rate or some crazy payment you can't afford. So it's a really nice and secure way to step into your payments over time. The other really cool thing about this product is you can refinance at any time during the loan, and especially in those first 2 years. People ask me oh, if I refi, do I get penalized or have to pay it back? No, you actually get to keep all the money that's associated with that temporary buy down. In fact, it gets applied towards reducing your loan balance. So, not to go too far into the weeds with this one, but just as an example, this total savings that you're getting is essentially like a savings account that's set up on your behalf to help you pay your mortgage. So there's money getting taken out of that account to help supplement your loan every single month. That's essentially how this program works. Meaning that if in year 2, for example, you're able to refinance out of this $12,000 starting budget, if you want to call it that, there's still going to be like $4,000 or $5,000 left that hasn't been used up in the buy down. You still have that runway for year 2. So let's say you want to refinance and get a brand new loan that's a fixed rate that's super low. You could still do that, and the $4,000 or $5,000 that's left in that account goes towards reducing your loan from what it might be at the time, maybe a $690,000 loan to $685,000. So it just goes directly towards paying down that loan balance. So it doesn't exclude you from anything, doesn't exclude you from rates coming down. If we see this trend continue and in a year or so we're all looking at a 4% interest rate, fingers crossed, then you'd be able to take advantage of that as well. And then finally, just the icing on the cake is that this can be paid for by us at JVM Lending, or it can be paid for by the seller. So kind of pointing back to what I talked about at the beginning, sellers are willing to give these sorts of concessions and these sorts of breaks to help their home sell. And this has been a really popular one to help you get an affordable payment and for the seller to get that home sold. I also wanted to talk a little about tax savings. I'm going to preface this by just saying very clearly, I am not a tax professional and this is not tax advice. So your scenario will be very different and it's worth talking to a tax professional about your specifics. I just wanted to give an illustrative example for you to look at. For a $700,000 home purchased with a 5% down payment, what could the tax write-offs look like? So assuming that you put 5% down on a 700K home and you had a 6.5% interest rate when you bought that property, that would be $43,225 in interest you've paid on your first mortgage over 12 months. You are allowed to write off the property tax interest, I'm sorry, the mortgage interest of your primary home against your income. So that'd be a reduction of income of $43,000. You can also write off your property tax deduction, and I estimated about $10,000 there. So that means those two things combined are about a total write-off of $53,000. And we're not talking about $1 million home here. We're at 700,000, so something that's still fairly approachable. And if you compare that with the standard deduction that you can get, even a married couple filing jointly would be at about half of that write-off. So it's a really big amount and a really powerful tool to help you save more money. And if you are shooting for that $1 million+ home, keep in mind that this property tax deduction did just get increased to $40,000. So that's going to be for tax year 2025, and I believe for the next 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So just something to keep in mind that this property tax deduction limit just went up. So there's a lot of wiggle room here with these numbers, and I'd encourage you to break down some numbers and consider that, because that's money that isn't going to necessarily reduce your monthly payment, but it is money that you're going to get back on a tax refund, or is going to be that won't get paid to the IRS. So there are some savings there that you can realize through home ownership that maybe aren't as primary. This is more of a secondary savings, but it's definitely not one to ignore because it's pretty huge here. Okay, now we also help with improving your credit scores. So I talked about this at the beginning as well. If you're not sure where you're at with credit, I know sometimes people have other debts they've been working to pay off, student loans. We all know how those follow you around and how painful they can be. There are ways that we can help analyze your credit situation and help improve that. Every single time we take in a credit report for a client, our program automatically tells us what's the potential credit score you can get in the short term, and we look at ways to get you there. So for example, if you we do the credit check and you're at a 690, oh man, we just missed out on being over 700 and getting some of those better rates or better mortgage insurance premiums. Hey, well, what if we paid down this card by $1,000 or got you off of your mom's authorized credit card? There's little things that we can likely do to help get you in a better position for your interest rate to be improved or for your mortgage insurance to be improved, and frankly just to increase your chances of loan approval. We always look at what's the best bang for your buck. Usually that's going to be paying off some small debts or small credit cards. Those usually have an outsized impact on improving your credit score. And then if we get to the point of doing a rapid rescore, which is where we basically force the credit bureaus, we say, hey, you've got outdated information. That credit card isn't at a $10,000 balance. It's at a $2,000 balance. We can force them to update the scores, and we pay for that entirely on our end. So this can just be a great educational process for you. Even if you're kind of lukewarm on the home buying process, just so you can figure out your credit. I know, I think that the credit system in the U.S. is just extremely complicated. It's behind this black box of I don't even know how this thing's calculated. And sometimes the only way to really know where you stand is to take a look. And so I would encourage you to start that process. It doesn't cost you, again, anything to get that pre-approval or to get the credit report done. And you might be surprised what you find. I think sometimes people are assuming much worse than what the situation actually looks like. And I think this is my last slide. Yes. So last but not least, we are an accessible lender. We invest a lot in our technology to make it as easy for everybody to access a home mortgage and get an approval. And so we are experts in helping people who have disabled family members. They might be assisting, right? If they need to purchase a primary residence for themselves, there are specific programs that allow you to do that, where you're helping someone buy their own primary residence, even if you're not going to be living in it. Even if you personally are not going to live in it, but they will occupy it, I should clarify. If you're getting income from IHSS, Social Security, disability, anything like that, we know the guidelines very, very well. We've qualified a lot of people that have those streams of income. So we're happy to help make that a possibility. And then we also have a very friendly loan application and website. So they're screen reader accessible, and you're not going to get stuck in some 1980s style software where you can't actually move through the application. We try to make it very easy for everyone to self-serve and do so independently. So if you have any questions or want to find out, please contact me. That's my my phone number, my email address, and our website. We would love to look at your scenario. And if anything that I leave you with, I just want to maybe close it with this, that every scenario is different, and it really takes, a personalized approach to understand what can I do and what's the right move for my family. And sometimes that might not be moving forward with something. It might just be knowing your numbers and being ready down the line. So again, I'd encourage you to reach out and learn what you can do.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Andre.
you so much, Andre. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
And those are actually, I didn't even know about all of those down payment assistance programs. You're right, there are so many. And so it's just like, it's great to see some details about a couple that are really fantastic.
Yeah, I think they're more powerful than people realize.
Yes.
Definitely.
We
Yeah.
did have a couple questions come in. I think you answered one of them, but one of them was for a temporary buy down, is there a penalty to refinance within the first 3 years of the loan? I think you answered that, and you said there's no penalty.
I did, yeah, no penalty. And anything that's left in that buy down account goes right back to you. So you're not missing out on anything.
Okay.
Which I will say is pretty incredible because, like, if you've been through a transaction before and you're asking for a credit from the seller at closing, that credit has to be used, right? You can't walk away with a check. And so sometimes there could be money left on the table. In this scenario, what you're saying is it's not. It goes to bring your loan down, which is really not the case all the time. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just another example where I had a recent client take advantage of this. Her scenario was that her child was going to be ready for school in a couple of years. And so she was doing the math of like, hey, this home might be a little bit of a stretch with my disposable income right now, my income available today. But in 2 years when my kid's in school and I'm not paying $2,000 a month in childcare, that this payment's not going to be any problem. So we were able to use this buy down strategy to say, great, well, I got a solution for the next 2 years. Let's make this payment that much more affordable. And then when your child starts school, you'll be all set.
Love that.
So we will do there are some questions coming in, so we will do a Q&A after Haley and I present. But I did want to ask this one because it's pertinent to what you were just talking about. What happens if rates drop shortly after I purchase?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Michael. Yeah, so if rates drop, we couldn't be more excited, honestly. The way we operate as a lender, and I know this might be a little convoluted, is that we're essentially paid every time we do a brand new loan. So when we find a new loan, we're able to approve that and close that. That's when we get our payday. So we're constantly searching on your behalf to find you opportunities to refinance. We have a really sophisticated CRM, Salesforce. I don't know if you've seen the tower. We're one of the people helping pay that mortgage by investing a lot in our technology to make sure that we're pricing out every single past client's loan every day to see, hey, have rates moved enough? Is there an opportunity here for you to get you into a better loan? So we really want to be, partners for life, and mortgages last for a really long time. So yes, if rates come down, we will reach out proactively and say, hey, look, you closed at a 6%, now we're at 5%. Here's how much that means in savings. And we also offer a program called our JVM Free Fi, which is a no-cost refinance, meaning we give a lender credit to pay for the one-time fees associated with the refinance to make it even more of a no-brainer. Like, yeah, okay, so there's no fees and I get a better interest rate. Where do I sign? So that's our ideal approach in helping people save money and make this whole journey that much more affordable.
Great. And then I was going to say this for later, but this one came in as well. So just trying to stay on topic. What qualifications are required to be considered a first-time buyer, and what are the
Great one.
benefits?
Yeah. So first-time home buyers, the typical definition is not having owned a home in the last 3 years, not being on title to a property in the last 3 years. This can sometimes bite people if they've, co-signed with family members or something like that, where they've like lost their first-time buyer status. But you're able to regain it after that 3-year waiting window. Or if you had owned, years and years and years ago, it doesn't count against you. One really cool broader definition, I should have mentioned this in the Cal Halfa slide, is that their definition of a first-time home buyer is even wider. They don't care if you currently own a property as long as it's currently an investment property. So their definition is not owning a primary residence in the last 3 years. So they are even more flexible, and you can take advantage of it. Some of the benefits are those first-time buyer programs that we talked about. Most, not all of them, have some requirements that somebody's a first-time buyer to access preferred aspects of the program, and that's generally lower interest rates, lower fees, things like that. So really, JVM lending and frankly the whole industry is kind of geared towards helping first-time buyers make it affordable because we know it's not easy out there, and the first-time buyer is somebody who's going to qualify for the most beneficial programs, lowest mortgage insurance, lowest rates, and some of the best products out there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to change topics just slightly, but still on topic of first-time home buying. What Haley and I wanted to present to everyone was some of the trends that we're seeing in the market right now, specifically regarding rent rates in San Francisco.
Yeah, we want to show you proof.
Yeah,
Proof that rents are crazy and that buying is often a really great option to pursue.
So I'm going to go ahead and share, and then let me know when you can all see that.
I think if you click present.
Here we go. Okay, can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you. So what we wanted to show you today is talk about just market statistics and some affordable options, specifically for those who are in the sort of right under 800,000, so 750 and below. So the first thing that has come to mind and come to light over the past couple months is the rising cost of rent in San Francisco. And this data is coming from Zumper. So the average rent prices in San Francisco right now have gone up 16%, almost 16.5% year over year from 2024. This chart shows you just sort of the steep incline of where one bedrooms have gone over the past year. I own a one-bedroom rental, and I can tell you from personal experience that there was a high demand for it when I put it on the market in May of this year. So right here, one bedrooms have gone up roughly 38% year over year, two bedrooms 15%, and three bedrooms 17%. So you can see the average cost of a three bedroom in San Francisco is just under $6,000 a month. And so I think we are heading into territory where we're sort of back in the 2014 to 2018 range where rent prices just skyrocketed.
Yeah, people are like, it's back in the day when we would show up with a check already written for the deposit and like a letter stating why we would be the perfect tenant. That's actually happening again. So it really is it's AI coming to San Francisco. It's people going back to work. It really is just on the rise.
Yeah, so I mean, Haley's right. There are people showing up with references ready to go. And it is getting competitive again. So what we did was Haley and I scoured the market in San Francisco. And for those of you that think that San Francisco is super difficult to break into, if you are in the 1 to 2 bedroom range, it is actually not super difficult. So we picked 3 different neighborhoods that we wanted to highlight today. The first one is in Pacific Heights. I'm going to let Haley talk about that one. The other 2 are in the Intermission and South of Market.
Perfect. So yeah, I just really want to briefly share a story about a deal that we just closed last month. This was a 1-bed, 1-bath. We were holding this open, and this was used as an investment property for our sellers. And the tenant moved out, so they took the opportunity to put it on the market. And we had a gentleman who walked in to look at a rental in the building, and he came to see our open house. And after we got to talking, realized that it actually kind of made sense for him to pursue purchasing the unit. And it really wouldn't have occurred to him until we started to talk about the different programs that are available to first-time buyers. So this one bed, one bath that was like beautiful, great size, excellent location, that had in-unit laundry and it had parking. This sold for 738, 888. And this is really, if you're looking at a one bedroom rental or if you're considering purchasing, I mean, this is definitely something that is worth pursuing. Because in a couple of years, you could use it as your rental as well, and get some cash flow out of it. Or you can turn around and sell it. And yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and it's in Pack Heights, which most
Yes.
people would think would be really difficult to find a one bedroom.
Totally. I mean, it's coveted. It's like literally down the street from the park. Incredible views, just really, really beautiful unit and just yeah. Oh, and I had a gym.
Yeah, right there. It's on the screen. All right. Okay, so the other neighborhoods, this one's in the intermission. This one, I'm very familiar with this building, but this one popped on. This one's still pending, so this one hasn't closed yet. But I know from the listing agent, because I did have clients that I brought in to see this particular unit, that this new price, which they went pending right away when this one came back on the market this summer, or sorry, late this summer. This was a transparent price, so this one should close probably around 665. It is a two-bedroom, two-bathroom in the intermission, close to public transportation, so BART and Muni trains.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. Two
yeah,
bedroom, two bath for 665. I just need everybody to hear that. Just pull up your mortgage calculator and put that in and then think about your rent. And look, it has like a fireplace that's totally done, in-unit laundry, parking, right? It
parking. Yeah.
like
And
wild.
roof deck. Yeah. So again, public transportation, this one happens to be top floor. So this is actually the view from the top floor, from the top floor. It is, and I can tell you because I own a unit in this building, a one bedroom, that the two bedrooms when they were being sold when the building opened in 2007, the two bedrooms were all selling for 750 to 850,000, depending on
Wow.
how big they were and their orientation in the building. So
Such
this
an
one,
opportunity.
yeah, this one was amazing opportunity. I'm 0% surprised that it got snatched up when they put it back on the market a few weeks ago. And then the other neighborhood that I think people should consider is West Soma. So there is this unit at 155 Harriet that closed for 700,000. Also a two-bedroom, two-bathroom, parking and unit laundry, communal outdoor space in the center courtyard. But again, because it is a loft, it tends to run much higher. And the price per square foot, so this one sold at 700,000. So the price per square foot is going to be a little bit lower because of the nature of it being a loft. But look at how much space you get. You get 1,130 square feet, whereas in other parts of the city, a traditional sort of one level, two bedroom, one bedroom condo, you're looking at, somewhere between 650 to 800 square feet for a two bedroom,
Absolutely.
one bedroom.
And this, I mean, lofts are great rentals. So eventually if you wanted to keep it, they are great investments. So if you want to live in it for a little while, then move on to a different place and rent this out. We do see the pricing is a little bit softer in the market that we're in right now. Such an amazing opportunity. I won't take the time to plug our loft that we're selling right now. That it's a great opportunity, but it's like people who snag these right now are going to be very happy in a couple of years when they either go to sell them or rent them. Again, people love renting lofts.
Yeah, they do. Yes, I also have a loft coming on the market soon. So in Dogpatch. But no, I'm not going to plug that here. But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. These make great rentals. People who are single or moving in with a boyfriend or girlfriend for the first time or partner for the first time, before kids happen, if that's in the future, lofts are like the first place a lot of these couples go to because you do get a ton of space for not a lot of money. So,
Yes.
all right. So, Those are just some examples that we wanted to point out in San Francisco. I'm going to turn our attention a little bit towards the East Bay and North Bay as well. There are three particular cities and neighborhoods in the East Bay that I wanted to point out. I know Haley's worked in all three of these as well. So the first one's in Solana County, which is Vallejo. Super cute, kind of a, very bedroom community, a lot of single family homes. The house that I found is at 397 Seahorse Drive. It's in a neighborhood called Glen Cove. So if you're not familiar with Glen Cove, it's a lot of communities built around in the early 90s. And so the thing about those types of homes is that they're all large. There are at least 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. They have really good bones. The electric is good, plumbing is good, foundations are great. The only thing that some of them need is just a little bit of love on the exterior interior. And that's something that if you are looking for a little bit of a project, you can get a home at a super affordable price and put a little bit of work into it. So you can see this home on Seahorse. The sellers put some work into the interiors and the kitchens and bathrooms, which always sell homes. They've kind of left the backyard, for the new owner. But it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, almost just over 1,900 square feet, and sold for $672,000. Like my mind is blown. And again, if you're not familiar with Vallejo, it is there's a Six Flags out there, very close to wine country, just over the Carquinez Bridge. It is I think it's sort of a sleeper hit of the summer. I think, more people should look at buying out there across the bridge.
And you have cute names like Seahorse Drive, which
Seahorse
I
Drive, yeah. So in that neighborhood, because they're so close to the water, all the street names are named after water and sea animals. So there's Starfish Drive, other names like that.
etc.
In Emeryville, turn our attention to Emeryville. These are the Temescal loft. So again, this is another loft. It's 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And again, if you know a lot about Emeryville, there's Pixar's out there. A lot of Pixar employees live and rent. They either try to buy out there or they're renting out there. And so again, as Haley said earlier, if you are looking to buy and then potentially, specifically a loft and then move after a couple years, family happens, and you want to rent it out, there is probably a built-in tenant pool already waiting for you because Emeryville is known to be a very creative community. And, because of Pixar is there, but it is also, again, very close. They have their own shopping center out there, very close to public transportation, easy to get across the bridge if you do work in San Francisco, or under the bridge if you take BART in. So again, it is another community where if you are okay with, condo living or loft living, it is a neighborhood that I think, we should look into. Haley, did you have something to say? Oh, sorry. That's okay. Sorry.
Nope, that would be my dog barking. So sorry about that.
It's okay. And then the last neighborhood that I wanted to look at, or city that I wanted to look at, is Maxwell Park in Oakland. I have friends that live out here. I've helped buyers with purchasing a home out here as well. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath home, single family home, fully detached, just under 1,250 square feet, and closed for $685,000.
Wild. This is like 30 minutes from the city, sometimes less.
Yeah, it is very, very highly desirable neighborhood. I remembered, when interest rates were really low, a lot of people are trying to get into this neighborhood. But as you've seen over the past couple of years, interest rates have gone up, and so prices have stagnated a little bit in places like Maxwell Park. We do have a question in the queue about is interest rates going down, so we'll get to that later. But for you can see for under $700,000, you can get a single family home detached with a front yard and a proper backyard for a growing family, or for yourself if you just want it for yourself.
Love it.
Cool. So those are the 3 communities. This is my information here, but if you have any questions, We will share when we send out the video, and we will post the video on YouTube as well. We will share all of our contact information so that if you have any questions for anyone on the call, for Andre, Haley, or myself, we are always happy to take anyone's calls. If you want to do a group call with us, Zoom call, phone call, doors are always open for you. We do have a couple questions that came in, some that came in for people who couldn't make the call today. A lot of them are for Andre. So I will dive right into it. Let me just grab
Bring it on.
I don't think they're super difficult, but we'll see. This one's a good one. Can I get down payment help from family? It goes on a little bit. Can a friend also help with the down payment? And there's also, it's a little bit of a tax question, but will federal gift limit affect how much funds I can receive from family and or friends?
Yeah, great questions, and those actually come up really often. I will say, just from personal experience, probably about half of the people that are buying in the Bay Area are getting some help from family or friends in one way or another. So it is extremely common to do that, and it's totally kosher. So family members are allowed to gift you money for the down payment. They could gift you everything, really. Down payment, closing costs, whatever. There is no limit to the gifts you can receive when you're buying a home you're going to occupy. There are limits and there's exclusions when you're buying investment properties and that sort of thing. But for homes that you plan to live in and move into, like I said, most of the mortgage code is written to help people buy homes, especially to live in. So that's no problem. Getting money from friends can be a little bit tricky. The technical guideline says that it has to be from immediate family or a closely documented relationship. And I always hated that guideline because I'm not entirely sure how to closely document some of my friendships. So the nice thing is that there's some flexibility with, extended family of like aunts and uncles, and, they're not going to ask you for a family tree, right? For how close is this person who's gifting you $50,000, right? That there's some gray area we can work with. And then the last part of your question about the federal gift limit, that does come up a lot. Currently, the gift limit is $19,000. And what that gift limit is set for, it's the exclusion that you're allowed every single year before you hit your gift maximum, your lifetime gift maximum. So that lifetime gift maximum is like $14 million. So if you have a very big family estate that you're expecting to inherit, then yes, it's something we should be, accounting for and definitely plan in advance. But I'd imagine for most people, I don't know if I expect to receive more than $14 million from my family. So if they give me more than 19,000, it just counts against that 14 million. So now I can only get 13 million nine. So it for most people, I'll say it's not going to be an issue or come up. If somebody is in a situation where we want to be really cognizant of it, they can do a strategy where one family member gifts to everybody on the loan. So we've seen it where it's, gift from mom to the son, and then gift to the daughter-in-law, and then dad gifts to son, dad gifts to daughter-in-law, and then each of those things are excluded independently. So there's different ways to structure it if that lifetime gift exclusion is a concern.
Yeah, I've actually had clients that did that. They gifted each daughter, and then each daughter gifted to someone else.
Yeah, it's the way to do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, and then we do have one question. It's posed to all three of us, but it's pretty general, and I think it's the question on everyone's minds. Do you think interest rates are going down anytime soon? And the
I'll
answer,
go last.
yes, from the last time. Andre, you want to kick it off?
Well, I was gonna say I'll go last if you guys
Oh,
want to go
okay.
first, and then
I've already seen rates go down. I had someone that went into contract on a home. He didn't lock his rate in until I think a couple days ago, but he went into contract about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and he was quoted at the time 6.5, but it was locked it in at 6.1%.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was not really luck, but it was just sort of good timing and literally based off of like how long can we wait until I have to lock my rate in?
Yeah,
And so he did end up getting a 6.1%, and that's on a condo in San Francisco.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Haley,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I've heard they're going down, so I'm gonna choose to believe it. Economist.
Buy into it. Yeah.
But I mean, they are like they're definitely. We've had a couple people ratify in the last couple of weeks, and that's the general sentiment. So.
hmm Yeah, and I'd say the data support that over the long run and short run, we're likely going to see rates continue coming down. My only thing that I'd remind people of is that things don't happen in a straight line. So they don't like just come down like this. They usually come down and then bounce and then come down, you know. So like your client actually got really lucky, Michael, because Friday we had the best rate day. Like that was actually where they were the lowest. And then Monday and Tuesday this week, even though not much news had changed, we saw rates tick back up because there's kind of this, trading momentum where people, buy into the news and then sell into it and do all that stuff. So from a timing perspective, it's really hard to get those really narrow windows down. In the macro perspective, yes, I think there's a lot of pressure downwards on rates. Just a couple examples that have been pushing rates down recently. Number one is that the jobs reports were pretty awful, showing that in June, for the first time in like 10 or 15 years, the US economy had lost jobs versus adding jobs. There were, over the last 2 years, about 2 million jobs revised away. So we get these jobs reports every single month that sends investors into a tizzy about buying or selling bonds and whatnot. And every single month they were coming back pretty strong. And honestly, we were all shocked. We're like, there's no way this can be accurate. So now, some of us that have been on the lower rate camp for a while, feeling more validated, seeing that over the last 2 years, 2 million of those jobs that were claimed to have existed didn't actually exist. So that's recently been uncovered. We've seen inflation down. All these things that indicate that overall the economy is slowing down a little bit, which puts pressure on the Fed to cut rates. So it's almost a certainty they're going to cut rates this month, which again is going to kind of help that trend of them settling lower and lower. Can I continue my rant, or did I lose everyone when I started talking about economics?
No, keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Well, last thing I promise is the Fed announcements. Just a reminder that the Federal Reserve doesn't set mortgage rates. They set rates for banks to borrow from each other on an overnight basis. So it's an extremely short-term rate. Mortgages are like 30 years, so really long-term rate. So what we find is sometimes people want to wait until the announcement happens because they expect that rates will come down after they announce it. That's not always the case, and frequently we actually find rates increase right after that announcement because the short-term rates go down and the long-term rates go up a little bit. So long story short is, timing the market on a very short, narrow perspective isn't always the best idea. I recommend that if that opportunity comes and we can get you a payment you're happy with, take it. And then the long-term goal is that, hey, in 6 months, a year, 2 years, there's a very high chance you'll be able to refinance. And that's what we're watching for on your behalf always.
Got it.
Right. Putting my soapbox away. Sorry.
That's okay. We love a good soapbox.
Yeah.
But Joe, that was our last question. I will, again, in the video, when we send out the link for the video and when we post the video on YouTube, we'll put everyone's contact information in there as well. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to us and ask. We're always here for you. Even if it's just a quick conversation like, hey, what do you think? Always good to know your numbers, always good to know what the market looks like, because Andre has his finger on the pulse of lending. Haley and I have our fingers on the pulse of the current markets in both East Bay and in San Francisco as well. So hope to see everyone. Happy hunting to everyone if you are out there hunting. Hope to hear from you soon, and we will catch you in the next video.
Bye, everybody.